Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Joining me in studio today is, of course, Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
Great to be here.
And most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And listen, we do got a number of things to talk about in the wonderful world of movies and movie news, TV and streaming and all that stuff. But before we get started, last little bit of housekeeping here. The movie meetup tour kicks off again this week. I'm actually going to be leaving Wednesday night. And so we are, of course, our first stop is going to be this coming Sunday in Columbus, Ohio, May 24th at the 6:30 screening of Mandalorian at the Marcus Crosswood Cinema. A couple days later, we're going to be in New York City, at least the New York City area, on Tuesday, May 26th for the 7:20 p.m. screening of Mandalorian at the AMC Roosevelt Field 8. The next night, we're going to be in the Boston area on Wednesday, May 27th for a 7:15 screening of Mandalorian at the AMC Braintree 10. And then, of course, I'm going home to the Toronto area to the Cineplex Cinemas, Queensway and VIP for a screening of Mandalorian and Grogu on Sunday, May 31st. We do not yet have a screen time for that because they haven't started releasing the tickets for that date yet, but it will be in the evening. The way you come to one of these things, if you want to come and join us to one of these movie meetups, is really simple. I'm just going to be at that movie, watching it just like everybody else. If you want to go to the movie theater's website, buy yourself a ticket to that screening, and we will see you there. And then afterwards, I'm going to hang out for about an hour or so out front and say hi to everybody and take pictures and all that sorts of fun stuff. And I hope we get to see you guys at the movie meetups. All right. With that down, guys, let's kick things off with this. You know, the movie Michael, I said once they announced this, I said, guys, this movie's going to be huge. If it's really good, it could be $1 billion film. This could be the biggest musical biopic of all time. Now, I thought the movie was enjoyable. I had a good time. I'm proud to say I give the movie a thumbs up, but I also think the movie could have been better, and I completely understand the criticisms that it gets. And so I question whether or not it could get to $1 billion. The jury's still out on that. But in a unprecedented event, but rare, Michael Jackson, the movie Michael, took back the #1 spot at the box office this weekend in its fourth week. And on its fourth weekend, I believe it pulled in $26 million. Devil Wears Prada made $18 million. Obsession coming in at $16 million, a very respectable number for that. But Michael comes in at $700 million worldwide. So #1, this movie is already a big hit. Big hit. Tons of people have gone to see it. Big success for Lionsgate. Congratulations to them. And it's going to be interesting to see if they can make those improvements that I think they need to make in order when they make the second one. That brings us to the question of, well, can it get to that $1 million marker? I mean, it's already a hit. Already a success. Job done. But now as a side quest, can it get to that $1 billion mark? And I don't know. It's going to be close. Because if we go over and take a look at this, let's look at a comparison to the Mario Brothers Galaxy movie. That movie has not yet crossed $1 billion, and I'm not sure it will. But Mario Brothers Galaxy hit that $700 million mark in 20 days. Michael hit the $700 million mark in 24 days. So it's tracking considerably behind Mario Brothers, which itself has not hit the $1 billion mark. Now, it should be noted that in early June, Michael will open in Japan. Michael is very big in Japan, but Japan is also not a massive market. They're expecting anywhere from $60 to $70 million total to come in from Japan. But who knows? That could go up to $90 million or whatever. That will certainly help its cause. So at this point, I think Michael was a good movie. I think it is inarguably a big hit. Definitely profitable. I still don't think it'll get to that $1 billion mark. Japan is, I don't think, going to give it a big enough boost at this point. And with it pulling in $26 million this weekend, next weekend it's probably going to pull in 18 to 15, and it still has like $300 million to go. I'm not sure that 60 or 70 from Japan is going to do it, but it'll be interesting to see if it does. Rob, you saw this. Michael takes back the number one spot. Granted, only with $23 million or $26 million, but still, that's impressive. Do you already consider this thing a massive success? Do you think it'll get to that extra milestone of the $1 billion mark? What do you think?
Oh, first of all, I do think it's a huge hit. However you know, it hasn't passed Bohemian Rhapsody yet, but it's a huge hit. And I think it is going to make that because it has the one thing that even Super Mario Brothers, or the Mario Galaxy movie doesn't have, which is the replayability factor. People are going back to see Michael again and again. And I think that is what is going to carry it probably to $1 billion. I also think that Super Mario might also cross $1 billion because I was just trying to look at the numbers. I don't know where they're very.
Mario Brothers is at 964 right now.
Yeah, it's very, very close.
But it only made $4 million this past weekend.
But was that
granted?
Domestic?
It was its seventh weekend.
Yeah, was that domestic or international?
Domestic, it made 4. I think internationally it made 9. Total. 9 total.
And then you've got the week playing out. But
don't forget, Mario's also got its home video coming. It's going to home video on the 19th. So that's going to slow it down considerably.
Yeah, but okay.
See, with Michael, I don't know. I agree that there are definitely I know a couple of them. There are definitely some people who are going back to watch it again and again. I just don't know that there's enough people going back to see it again and again.
Right.
Again, because while I enjoyed it, I also thought it should have been better. I thought with the life of Michael Jackson, you could have made a better movie overall. Again, I was dancing in my seat. I like it. I give it a thumbs up, but I just know a number of people. I know a number of people who've gone back to see it multiple times.
Yeah.
But I also know a number of people who are never going to watch it again.
Right.
So, so the question is, with it still needing after its 4th weekend, it needs $300 million more dollars. With Star Wars opening up this week.
Yep.
We've also got, there's another film.
Passenger opens.
Passengers is opening. We got a couple of other big ones in a couple weeks. I just don't know that any film on its 4th weekend with $700 million making 26 this past weekend. I just don't know if it's got the legs to get another 300.
Yeah.
I don't think it's impossible though. I don't think it's impossible. I just think it's going to make less and less every week and it still has 300 million to go. So we'll see, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Indisputable facts that Michael is already a bona fide hit. It has done extremely well. One of the biggest grossing musical biopics of all time. It still has a shot at catching Bohemian Rhapsody to be the biggest. I'm not sure that it has enough legs to do it, but maybe it can. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? A little bit outside the boundaries of what we normally talk about on this show, but it's a Netflix story, so I'll allow it. So says Judge Judy. I'll allow it. Netflix did their first little maneuver into the world of mixed martial arts and had for the first time in its history this big live mixed martial arts card, which was run by MVP Productions, which is run by that tool, Jake Paul. But you know what? A very interesting idea. I like the idea. UFC needs some competition.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of doing it. Netflix is a great partner to do it at. They had tremendous success with some of their boxing stuff. So they decided to take a shot at it with Netflix, see what they could do with it. And of course, headlining the whole thing is probably the most famous female fighter of all time in Ronda Rousey, the rowdy one, against one of the OGs in the whole thing, a trailblazer for female combat sports, Gina Carano. And that was going to be the big event. One woman who hasn't fought in 17 years, one woman who hasn't fought professionally, I don't know, 9 years or something like that. But again, a legitimate Olympic judo medalist. So there you go. They also had like the most dangerous and most feared heavyweight in the planet. Francis Ngannou was fighting on it. They had a crowd favorite, Nate Diaz, against Platinum Mike Perry. They had one of my favorite heavyweights of all time, Junior Dos Santos. I love Junior Dos Santos. And, a number of other interesting looking fights. So I tuned in to watch it to see, could this be a new thing for Netflix? It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And I think it has to be considered a giant embarrassment for Netflix and an embarrassment for MVP Productions. Number one, when I turned it on, I didn't even watch the prelims. I just turned it on for the main card. It was held at the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, which Ann and I have gone to a couple times. World-class stadium, man. If you've never been to the new Intuit Dome, I highly recommend going for something. It is a fabulous facility. Love it. 3/4 empty by the time the main card started. They kept doing these big wide camera shots, but every time they go to these big wide camera shots, it's like all you saw was empty seats. Now, granted, they started to fill out a little bit as you got closer and closer to the main event. But even by the time Ronda Rousey made her walk out, there was still a lot of empty seats, man. Even Essentially Sports here talking about UFC fans. UFC is the competitor to this, obviously. Mock Jake Paul as Netflix's Rousey Carano left with several unsold tickets. Several is kind. Several, some measurement of number. And so every time they do these big wide shots, I'm like, God, that's embarrassing. And I don't know what they were thinking, but just for decent seats, they wanted $700. And the nosebleed seats, they wanted $150 for what? One fighter who hasn't fought in 17 years, one who hasn't fought in 9, a 40-something-year-old Nate Diaz who is way over the hill. You can be over 40 and still be in your prime. Nate Diaz is way over the hill at this point. He's one of my all-time favorite fighters. But that dude has so much scar tissue on his face. If you look at him sternly, he starts to bleed. And he's a bleeder, man. And that you saw in the fight because he was just gushing blood everywhere from not even anything highlight worthy heavy shots. And he was just gushing blood everywhere. You had a 42-year-old Junior Dos Santos who physically looked like a comic book character. He looked in great shape, but he was slow. He was whatever. And of course he got knocked out in the first round. Nate Diaz got stopped because the chair wouldn't let him get up because he was just bleeding too much. They put Francis Ngannou in against a tin can. So obviously Francis knocked him out in the first round. And I was fascinated to see the Carano Rousey fight. I won't tell you who it was, but there's somebody you guys know who I had a text exchange with the day they announced the fight. I won't say who it is, but you know them. And this person was the one who texted me and said, my God, this fight is happening. And I said, oh my God, I said, it's totally pointless, but man, it's going to be huge on Netflix. To which my friend said, I've got Gina Carano beating Rousey. Rousey is broken. To which I said, oh, no chance in hell. I'll take Rousey at 30% over 100% Gina Carano every day. She will tap Carano out in the first round. To which my friend then went on in great detail to explain why I was wrong and how Carano is just the smarter fighter, the better fighter. So the main event starts. Ronda Rousey taps her out in 17 seconds. Just did what an Olympic bronze medalist judo fighter does. Shot, took her down, postured up, landed some ground and pound to get Gina to put up her arms to guard. Once Gina put her arms up to guard, Rousey grabbed the arm, flipped it around right into her patented arm bar. Game over, 17 seconds. Which, you know what? 17 seconds, it was really still fun for me as somebody who's been a mixed martial arts guy my whole life, at least going back to UFC 2. It was pretty cool to see Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano in there. And Carano does not belong in a cage with Ronda Rousey. There's maybe 5 women on the planet who should be in the cage with Ronda Rousey. And remember, Ronda Rousey's only ever lost 2 fights in her life. One was to 17-time world champion Holly Holm in combat sports, and the other was to arguably the greatest female fighter in the history of the world with Amanda Nunes. Those are the only 2 fights she's ever lost. And I contend right now, if she went to the UFC right now and fought 20 times, she'd be 18-2, depending on who it is she fought. And I got to say this for Gina Carano. While she has no business being in a cage with Ronda Rousey's just a different level of animal. she looked great, man.
Yes, she
looked
did.
The healthiest she has looked in 15 years. You know, like you may like her in Mandalorian in Mandalorian, and I thought she was good in Mandalorian, but she was clearly not in the same physical shape that she used to be in. And when you saw her make that walk, the announcer said, you know what? It sounds like hyperbole, but I believe it. The announcer said she lost 100 pounds. She lost 100 pounds. And to see that, guys, losing 20 pounds is insanely hard to do. And she lost 100 pounds and she looked great and she looked healthy and she looked happy.
Yeah.
And she looked like I would definitely not want to get into an argument with her at a bar. And good, like, yeah, she got wiped out, but anybody with common sense knew she would. But she went in there, she got herself in great shape, super happy for her, and she made $1.1 million for 17 seconds of work. You tell me who's winning at life. I mean, Rousey's winning a bit more. She got paid like 2.3 million, but good on her. But again, overall though, it was a disaster. The broadcast was a disaster. It was humiliating and embarrassing. They just wheeled out all these guys who were far over the hill who have a name, and it was just embarrassing. There was this one French fighter, I'm forgetting his name, who they brought out that actually he looked really sharp. He was the one legit MMA guy out there that looked really good, but everything else was just embarrassing. Did you even bother to tune in and check out any of that?
I watched the clip of Ronda Rousey being taken down.
That didn't take you much time to watch that
clip.
clip.
Taken down Gina Carano. No, it took me 17 seconds.
17 seconds.
Yeah, it's rare.
But like you said, I watched him walk out, and I thought Gina Carano, like you said, she looked great. You know, she looked fantastic. And all I could think about was put that woman in a New Republic suit, get her fighting again.
It'll be interesting to see if they do. I don't think we're going to see her back.
No, I don't either, but they should.
But again, good for her, good for them. Made a lot of money. I mean, it would have been nice if Gina could have put up something of a fight.
Yeah.
But I mean, she fought another legendary female fighter by the name of Cyborg, Chris Cyborg, and she lost, but she put up a good fight against Cyborg, like as good of a fight as most people have ever put up against Cyborg. So you kind of thought maybe she could go, but Rousey's just people forget she's just a different animal, man. Like once she does, I was listening to John Jones talk about it. And so John Jones just said, once it's going to be a fight until Ronda Rousey does this. Once Ronda Rousey gets any sort of grip on her, the fight was going to be over. It just happened that it happened a lot faster than most people were anticipating. I don't think we're going to see an event number 2. Which is too bad. Unless they try to get some legitimate fighters on there to make a legitimate quality fight card, I don't see Netflix doing much more of this. Because again, seeing a half-empty stadium is kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did any of you guys take the time to watch the 17-second fight between Gina Carano and the rowdy one, Ronda Rousey? The rest of the card was an incredible waste. I don't know. Whatever you guys thought about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Speaking of The Mandalorian, which is opening up this week, I'm going to go see it on Thursday. Watch for my Out of the Theater review from Las Vegas. I'll be doing that one from there. We got the initial reactions came out. They were mostly positive, but certainly a number of mixed ones as well. But pretty much right along the upper end of where I was kind of expecting them to be. And look, I said this before, if Mandalorian can just deliver what Solo delivered, give me a fun space adventure film. And the first 17 minutes they showed us at CinemaCon certainly looked like a fun space adventure film. You deliver that to me, I'll be happy. Just give me that, hopeful. But apparently, one of the things you can automatically scratch off your bingo card is, who knows, maybe they kill Baby Yoda. Maybe Grogu dies. I mean, after all, we get into Star Wars stories much later in the timeline, and there's no Grogu to be seen. And a lot of people think, well, then that means at some point there's going to be a tragedy. Well, it was never a high chance that would happen in Mandalorian, but it was a chance. Not anymore. Because John Favreau, according to this report here in Geek Tyrant, has come out and said there are big plans for Grogu in the future because he's on his path to become both a Jedi and a Mandalorian. He said this: creatively, says John Favreau, who I adore, I have a lot of plans and I have a lot of thoughts about these characters, especially for Grogu. Grogu is a character that his species lives for centuries. He's on a path to be both a Jedi and a Mandalorian. He's making certain choices and decisions. He has a great teacher now, and so he develops and grows. There's opportunities for stories that would emanate from that. That's a pretty awesome direction for the character because Grogu already exists in a fascinating space within Star Wars lore. He's not fully tied to the Jedi way, but he also isn't walking away from the Force. I don't know if it's a great idea, marketing-wise, to just instantly reveal, by the way, this main character survives to the end. I mean, if it was a James Bond movie, no big deal. Everybody expects James Bond to make it to the end. But at some point, Grogu has to unsubscribe from life or go into hiding like Yoda or whatever, because you have to explain somehow this incredibly powerful Jedi presence that Luke Skywalker could sense from across the galaxy, who is nowhere to be seen, heard from, mentioned by anybody later on. So something has to come up. But apparently John Favreau has plans for that. Rob, we've seen some reports suggesting that Star Wars, starting with Starfighter, is going to start doing new stuff, going in new directions, moving the story forward, stop doing these period piece films with characters we all already know and see. Is there a world where they could do that while also do what John Favreau is suggesting, continuing stories with Grogu? Can you do both? Do you just hopscotch Grogu into a further timeline, show him as teenage Groot, like teenage Grogu? I mean, I don't know. How do you think they should approach that?
That's a tough question, John. I mean, to answer your initial question, yes, they can do whatever they want, really. And from, I've watched a lot of responses to what people think of the Mandalorian and Grogu. Like Harloff was not a big fan of it, for instance. And to me, it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. Sort of an episodic adventure. You're skipping around and there's like it's almost like 4 episodes put together.
I got to introduce you for a second because I got to put this to bed. One of our live chat people, Matthew Glandy in the live chat, is saying word on the street is that they're looking to reboot and erase the sequel trilogy. Guys, can you please stop spreading that bullshit? Just stop it. There is zero truth to that. None. Absolutely no truth. None. There are all these whispers and rumors years ago that they're going to get rid of the prequels. And I told everybody then, and I'll tell you now, they're not taking anything out of canon. Stop this nonsense. Stop spreading this fake bullshit. It's absolutely not true. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't, but they are absolutely not. So please, whenever you see this nonsense, Brian, just let people know that's not happening. Whether it should or shouldn't is a different discussion, but it's not. So let's just end that. Anyway, sorry, Rob, please continue.
No, not at all. I mean, I think the thing with Grogu is, unfortunately, like, if Favreau says he has plans for the character and that he's going to be both a Force user and a Mandalorian, I think that's interesting. But I just think that, like, look, Yoda was teaching Jedi for 900 years, and Grogu's essentially a child, and maybe he'll be a child for another 50 years. The problem with Grogu is he's just not that interesting. And they haven't really done anything with him other than the fact that he's like a cute sidekick.
He's adorable, Rob. That's his superpower.
I mean,
adorable.
But I'm like, maybe they'll take it someplace where there's a character to watch being developed. But I just think that the problem with Grogu is that it was great to see the beginning of his life, but I would much rather see it flash forward 100 years or 200 years, 300 years. Yeah. And then you see him in the middle of his life where he's at the height of his powers doing, but the problem with that is we already have Yoda. There's nowhere for this character to go. Now you could say, oh, he's going to be a Force user and he's going to be a Mandalorian. I mean, that's kind of interesting, but what you're going to wind up with is a character we already know.
Why? Just because he's the same species? James Bond and
I know, but
Joe Dirt are both human beings.
But if Yoda was going to be like an entertainer, if Grogu was going to decide he wanted to be a lounge singer
Ooh.
or playing a bar band like the Modal Nodes. I would be like, okay, that would be more interesting. But it's like, so is he going to be offering wise pearls like Yoda, but at the same time wear Mandalorian armor? I mean, think about what he would look like in full Mandalorian armor.
It's a cool thought.
It also is goofy. I mean, wearing that helmet with the ears sticking out, it's just.
Oh, I didn't think the ears was. Now I think I like it more.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be. I just think that the funny thing about both the Mandalorian and Yoda, and Grogu, are derivations on two previously existing Star Wars characters, Boba Fett and Yoda. And Boba Fett and Yoda, until they ruined Boba Fett, I think Boba Fett and Yoda were better iterations of these characters, even though we've seen more of them. So we'll see how the movie does. Maybe if people are clamoring for Yoda and for Grogu and the Mandalorian to come back, great. But even what we watched, I want to see them get involved in something. I want to see the Mandalorian involved in something that's more weighty. It's always been so light and breezy with the two of them. And I never believe that they're in actual peril. They're always going to get out, no matter, you look at the Mandalorian, that giant white snout snake water monster that you see in the trailer. I'm like, it's not like that thing has a chance against the Mandalorian. Even if it swallowed him whole, you'd see him cut his way out.
Can't you say the same thing about a James Bond film? Or say
but James Bond's got an edge. He's a badass. The Mandalorian is a badass that's carrying around Grogu. And it's like, it's fine. I just want gravitas. The Empire Strikes Back had real gravitas. Star Wars had gravitas. Yeah, it was a space fantasy, but you were involved, man. It was like, what's going to happen? And when the rebels get routed on Hoth, you feel it. You're like, this should not be happening. But this is messed up.
Yeah, but I don't think the totality of Star Wars needs to be that. I think Star Wars should be a lot of different kinds of stories.
I agree, but I want to feel like there's real peril
in order to move forward with them, you mean?
Yeah, I want to feel like there's a weight to the story that's being told. I just watched The Mandalorian and Grogu, and it's fun, but I don't feel any of it matters.
And I do. You bring that up. It's like, even that latest trailer, they had Sigourney Weaver talking about, well, these are the people who are building up, a force that's, we're trying to stop a war here. So I thought, okay, this is going to be a bridge between this and A Force Awakens. And then I haven't seen it, but from what I'm gathering from people who have seen it, it's like, no, it's not. It's just like a filler episode.
Well, and we also know that they fail because the First Order, the Imperial Remnant, whatever, they found the First Order, they come back, somehow Palpatine returns. And so the New Republic doesn't do very well.
Again, none of that means anything to me because, again, you go in watch Titanic, the boat sinks. You go like all that kind of stuff.
But every time I think it might not.
Like with Rogue One, we know what happens. They do get the Death Star plans to the rebels. The question is, can you tell a good, compelling, fun story in the confines that you have? Mandalorian did that and did it really well in the first two seasons.
Yeah.
They did not do it so well in the third. And to me, look, I don't need, I didn't need Skeleton Crew. I didn't need Skeleton Crew to be Andor. And
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, and I don't need Mandalorian and Grogu to be Empire Strikes Back. Am I annoyed that their first return to the big screen in 7 years is just the continuation of a TV show? Yes, that annoys me. At the same time, if you can successfully deliver 2 hours of entertainment like the first two seasons of Mandalorian and Grogu did, what happens later is irrelevant. Do you make a good movie or not? And that's the jury's out on that.
Yeah,
We'll see.
that's the whole thing.
About.
You know what I would say? I would say like the way if you were to ask me what I wanted from a Mandalorian and Grogu movie, I wouldn't have said Star Wars. I would, because it's already in the Star Wars universe. I would have said what I want from this movie is something more along the lines of Raiders of the Lost Ark. That they have,
I can get on board with that.
A quest movie where that movie it's got adventure the way we hadn't seen it before. There's real stakes, and that if the Nazis got a hold of the Ark and had it before them, it could have the world could have ended. But it was still a romp. It was an action adventure story. And that's what I want. That's what I mean when I say I want to see something, weighty, but not the weight of the world with Empire Strikes Back, but something that there's real stakes where you're really breathless. I mean, I'm sure I'm never going to feel that the Grogu and the Mandalorian are in any peril in this movie at all. They're going to win. Because they have to
again,
win.
I think there's a lot of film franchises you can say that. And television shows, you can say that, right?
That's
you
true.
watch week after week,
But
this
you know
guy's
what?
not going to
When
die.
you see a Bond movie, and he's on a table with Goldfinger and there's a laser about to
No,
go up
Mr.
his
Bond,
crotch,
I expect you to die.
actually, for a minute there, you're like, how's he going to get out of that?
Well, then the key to that and like television shows, whatever, is you build a sense of stakes around the characters.
Yeah.
And whether or not they're going to be able to successfully do that, we'll find out on Thursday. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Director John Favreau says they've got big plans for Grogu, but is that a character you can have big plans for? I mean, he certainly has sold the most toy product of anything Star Wars related in the last 20 years. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Speaking of James Bond, there's been a major development. Amazon has announced that they have now begun the casting process in trying to find our next 007 James Bond, trying to fill the extremely big shoes of, I almost said Daniel Radcliffe. Daniel Craig.
That'd be a different kind of spy franchise.
Very different type of spy of Daniel Craig, who is my personal all-time favorite Bond, is Daniel Craig. So they got going. Now, of course, whenever something like that comes along, the odds makers start coming in and start putting probabilities and betting odds on who's going to be the next James Bond. And according to this story, who is the next James Bond? Odds makers reveal the top 10 choices to play Bond. So let's jump over, shall we, and look at the 10 people that they're saying is going to be the next James Bond. Coming in at number 10, we have Jonathan Bailey. Now, of course, Jonathan Bailey leapt to worldwide fame and success when he was in Bridgerton. He became the heartthrob of the world. Of course, then he was in the Wicked films that did extremely well for everybody. Bridgerton was, of course, and then he even got to join Scarlett Johansson in a Jurassic World movie. That made, look, whatever you think about it, it made a lot of money. So right now, the odds maker is saying he is a 5% chance. He's the number 10 in the running with a 5% chance. After that, at the number 9 spot, is Damson Idris, who, of course, a lot of people know him from Snowfall. That's where he first got his notoriety. He was on Snowfall. And then, of course, he was in Brad Pitt's. He was kind of the foil / bestie of Brad Pitt in F1. And you know what? He was fantastic in the role.
He was.
He was fantastic in the role. And you know what? He's got the age. He's got the suave. He's got all that kind of stuff. I like it. But he's down at number 9, pulling in a 5%. At number 8 is a name I really like. Theo James. Of course, became big famous with the Divergent series that I really liked from him. And he's done a lot of stuff. He's done White Lotus. But you know what I really think? When I think of Theo James, you know what I think about? The Gentleman.
Yep.
The Netflix series.
He was great in that.
A series that I was like, you're just knocking off the movie. What's the point here? And I loved it. I didn't love it more than the movie, but it was really good. And one of the big reasons it was really good was because of Theo James. And so, you know, now he might be a little bit old for it with what they're looking for, but I think he's got the chops. He's got the suave. He's got the looks. I think Theo James would be a really good choice, but they've got him ranked down with a 6% chance of getting it at number 8. All right. After Theo James, we move on to number 7, Jack Lowden. Jack Lowden was in Slow Horses, which you watched that one, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about Jack Lowden?
I think he's great. I think he's a great actor. I think he could pull off the role, but he wouldn't be my first choice for James Bond.
Right.
So, but he is a trained Shakespearean actor. He's got a BAFTA Scotland Award for his movie Tommy's Harbor, I think it was called. Again, sharp look, got the suave. Listen, whenever you say Shakespearean trained, you pique my interest. It's like, well, then that guy can do anything. So again, right now out of this list of 4, Theo James would still be my top pick, but they're saying Jack Lowden right now is in the number 7 spot with a 6% chance of getting the role. All right. We now move on to the number 6 contender, which is Josh O'Connor. Now, he won an Emmy for The Crown. He played young Prince Charles in The Crown. He was, of course, in Challengers with Zendaya. He's considered to be a highly sought-after guy in the whole indie realm. Not a lot more to it. I got to tell you, this is one of the surprise names for me on the list. If I was putting together a top 10 list, I don't know that O'Connor would have been on mine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to hate it if he ultimately ends up getting it, but more of the surprise list. Again, out of these 5, I still think Theo James would be my top pick.
I could see him more as why is the name? But
Q or
Q.
Not Q. Well, he could
I
be
could
a
see him
Q
as a
or
Q.
not M. What's the word I'm looking for? No, actually,
Yeah,
you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Q. Q is exactly right.
Q.
Sorry, I was thinking you meant M, but you're exactly right. I could see him as a Q. All right.
MQQM.
Let's go on to the next one here. Well, you know, this is my top pick. Henry Cavill is in the number 5 spot. Odds makers are saying right now he's got an 8% chance of getting it. Listen, you got to. Henry Cavill's a really interesting story because he was the runner-up to Brandon Routh to get the role of Superman when they made Superman Returns. And then later on, he got the role of Superman. And he is my all-time favorite Superman. My boy, Henry. But also, he was the runner-up to Daniel Craig to play James Bond.
Always a bridesmaid.
And could history repeat itself? Look, I've been on record for a lot of years. I think Henry Cavill would be an amazing James Bond for 10 years. I think they've made it clear they're looking for younger. They're looking for somebody who can be at 15 to 20 years, I think. And Henry Cavill, who's now getting close to his mid-40s, I think. He might just be, again, if they're looking for James Bond for 2 or 3 films, Henry's still the guy. Go get Henry. But if they're looking for somebody to start in their mid to late 20s, Henry's aged out. But listen, it's still Henry, and the odds makers still have him up at number 5. Still my number 1 choice, Henry Cavill. They're saying he's got an 8% chance of getting the role. All right, we move up the list now. Coming in at the number 4 spot, Ricky Tikki Tacky.
I forgot about that.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend. The guy who could be Quicksilver. The guy who can be Craven. And the guy, what's the superhero thing he started off in?
Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass. He can be Kick-Ass. He can be all of it. Put him in Bullet Train. Put him in an Eggers film. By the way, he's got that werewolf film coming up.
Uh-huh.
If it wasn't for Henry Cavill, I think Aaron Taylor Johnson would be the top of my list. He's a phenomenal actor. He's got all the physical chops. He's got all the charisma. This guy would be a terrific choice to be Bond.
I agree.
100% great choice to be Bond. They've got the odds maker have him at number 4 with an 11% chance of getting the role, which means they think there are 3 people who have a better chance, including at number 3, Harry Dickinson. He was several awards nominations for Triangle of Sadness. He was really good in that Nicole Kidman movie, Baby Girl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That was not an easy role to play. And he did really, really great in that. He's got a television series. Again, listen, other than Baby Girl, I'm not super familiar with his work. I don't know that I see him as Bond.
Yeah, I don't.
I think he's very talented, super talented guy. I just don't know that Bond is it. But I'll tell you what, the odds makers like him. They got him all the way up at the number 3 spot with a 12% chance of getting it. All right. Now we get into the top 2. According to the odds makers, The number 2 guy is Jacob Elordi. Listen, when you're hot, you're hot. And 50% of the time, it works 100% of the time. I mean, in Hollywood, it's all about, are you on a hot streak?
He's really hot right now.
And Lordy, so hot right now. Lordy. I mean, coming off of Oscar nominations for Frankenstein, in which he was incredible in Frankenstein, absolutely incredible. Euphoria is a global, worldwide hit. He was so good in Saltburn. I mean, this guy, he's got it, you know? He's a superstar. Could he be a James Bond? Not the top of my list, but if I woke up tomorrow to the Hollywood Reporter saying Jacob Elordi cast as a new James Bond, I ain't going to complain about it.
He's got a bit of a echoes of Sean Connery look.
He's got a little Sean Connery, you know, not just in his look, but in his mannerisms. He's got a little bit of Sean Connery. Some people have argued he might be too physically big. He's a big dude.
Tall.
But I think it could work. Anyway, so they got Jacob Elordi all the way up at a 17%. But by far, the person they're saying right now is far and away the front runner to get James Bond. Coming in number 1, Caleb Turner, who you might remember was Newt's brother in Fantastic Beasts. He's got this new one coming out that got a lot of people at CinemaCon talking, called One Night Only, which I don't think looks very good, but everybody else thinks looks absolutely fantastic. He was in that great movie with Elizabeth Olsen called Eternity that he was so good in. Like, he was up against 2 bigger actors than himself, and he kind of stole the movie. He kind of stole the show.
He was in Boys in the Boat. I forgot about that.
He's in Masters of the Air.
Yeah, Green Room. Wow, with what's his name?
I know what you're talking about.
Anton Yelchin.
Yeah,
And
Anton.
Patrick
Going
Stewart.
going back a ways. And you know what? When I saw this name, and they look at that, look at this list. Like, at the number 4 guy, Aaron Taylor Johnson, has got an 11% chance. He's sitting at a 38% chance, they're saying. I would not have put him on my list. If you had asked me last week to put together a top 10 list for this, I would have made a list. I don't know that I would have had Turner on here. But the more I think about it, Henry's still my number 1 guy. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson would be my 2nd. I think Theo would be my 3rd. But you know what? The more and more I thought about it, man, this kid would make a really good Bond.
Yeah.
Actually. So it's another one of those things, not in my top 3, but if I woke up tomorrow and they announced him, I'd say, good choice, man. He's going to do well. So let's read through this list again here. At number 10, they got Jonathan Bailey. At number 9, Damson Idris. At number 8, we got Theo James. At number 7, we got Loudon. At number 6, O'Connor. At number 5, my boy, Henry. At number 4, Ricky Tikitaki. At number 3, Dickinson. At number 2, Elordi. And at number 1, by a long shot, is Turner. Rob, you are a considerably big James Bond fan.
Big James, but lifelong.
What do you think about this list? Who is standing out to you? And maybe more importantly, are there any names conspicuous by their absence off this list? What are you thinking about?
No, I mean, I have to say that Callum Turner has been my number 1 favorite to be Bond for a while now as well. I think that there's something about the way he carries himself and his face, I believe. And my number 2 has always been Aaron Taylor Johnson. And I would say there's somebody missing from this list. Richard Madden, who played Jon Snow. I mean, not Snow,
Rob Stark.
Rob Stark.
And he was in a series called
where he's the Secret
Bodyguard.
Service guy, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he could make a great Bond.
He was great in that series.
There was early talk that Barbara Broccoli was interested in him as Bond. So he'd be the 3rd person I would say. But I think Callum Turner is my number 1 choice on this list, and I think Aaron Taylor Johnson. And since Richard Madden is not on the list, he's probably not in the running, or an unknown that we don't know about. Somebody out of the blue. But I'm really curious to see where they're going to go with this Bond, because they've talked about, making it a period piece, talking about starting with young Bond, where we see his where he's the commander in the British Navy. I mean, I think the James Bond franchise has a real issue in that as they've moved out of the Cold War, I mean, people always talk about making a Bond a period piece, but we already had a James Bond. It
should not be a period piece.
We already had, Bond has always been contemporary to the time in which he's come out. And if you go back and you make Bond a period piece, whether it's in the 50s or 60s, first, we've already had 60s James Bond. Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, and Our Majesty's Secret Service all took place in the 1960s. So it's like, to go back to that era we've already come from there. So and people say, well, you can go more effectively adapt Ian Fleming's books, but those books are dated. So I think the problem is you have to figure out in what world and where does James Bond fit today? Who's he going to work for? Are you going to keep him working for MI6? Who are the bad guys going to be? Are you going to go more fantastical, like, Carl Stromberg and have a city underneath the sea? Or are you going to make it more like From Russia with Love? You're going up against Putin and his cronies and Smersh. What are you going to do with Bond? And I think they need to figure out what Bond is now and then pick the actor for that iteration of Bond.
I'm sure that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you're right. I think that is what they're doing.
I think Callum Turner, there's something about him. Like, I could believe him, and I can believe Aaron Taylor Johnson, because I've seen him in roles that have even Craven. As Craven, he was great. The movie wasn't great.
For a garbage movie, nothing about that was his issue.
No,
and the casting of Aaron Taylor Johnson as Craven was not the problem.
You look at him in things like Bullet Train.
He's so good in that.
Yeah, and I'm like, that guy can be Bond.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's Bond. But I think Callum Turner, while we haven't seen him in exactly those roles, there's a physicality and a way he carries himself that I believe that he could be very dangerous, but at the same time charming, because One Night Stand, or if that's what it's called, that's, about a future society where you can only have sex one night a year. Yeah, one night only. And obviously it's a romantic film with Monica Barbaro,
who was also in Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah. They were delightful together. And I could believe him as a debonair lady killer walking into a room. You had me at Bond.
You know who's not on the list? That I don't think they would actually get picked, but I'm kind of surprised they weren't on the list, because there's been a lot of fan chatter about it. Taron Egerton.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's another guy who there was a little bit of groundswell for him, and I kind of expected him to at least be on the list. I was kind of surprised that he wasn't on there.
You know what? That's another great. I think he's great.
How many actors do you have a lot of fans saying he'd make a great James Bond and saying he would make a great Wolverine? Because he's got kind of buzz for both of those going on behind him right now. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think of this list of what they're saying are the top odds for who's going to be the next James Bond? Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got to talk about this freaking trailer that dropped earlier today that has me positively giddy. We're talking about Lanterns. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second here and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at Pocket Hose.
Yes.
We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Pocket Hose. Guys, I'm excited to tell you about the world's #1 expanding garden hose and their brand new product, the Pocket Hose Ballistic. As you guys can imagine, I'm not exactly gentle with my gear. I drag hoses across concrete over the pool, yank them around corners. I even coil and uncoil them all the time to put them in my camper van when I go out on my movie meetups. And generally speaking, a lot of them don't last. But the Pocket Hose Ballistic has been a totally different story for me. It's incredibly durable, super lightweight, and just makes the whole job easier. One One of my favorite things is how simple it is to use. You turn the water on, it expands. Turn it off, it shrinks right back down to pocket size. And it's reinforced with a liquid crystal polymer, the same kind of material used in bulletproof vests. Plus, it comes with the pocket pivot, which gives you 360-degree rotation at the spigot so it moves with you instead of fighting against you. And now, for a limited time, when you purchase a new Pocket Hose Ballistic, you'll get a free 360-degree rotating pocket pivot and a free thumb drive nozzle. Just text Campea to 64,000. That's CAMPEA to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. Text Campea to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. And thank you to our friends at Pocket Hose for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. And it's going to come in really handy on this next leg of the movie meetup tour. It works so well with the van. It's amazing. I love it. You guys should check it out. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, they put out that first trailer for Lanterns, which I thought was quite good. It kind of expressed that promise they had about it being like True Detective, but in a DC story. And I thought it looked quite good, and a lot of people did too. But there was also a number of people online that were perplexed at the absence of the color green. All right. And you know what? And like I said on the show at the time, it's also kind of understandable. I mean, a lot of people, when you think of Green Lantern, you're thinking of this galactic character. And I think understandably, a lot of people opened up the trailer thinking they were going to see kind of some kind of space adventure, right? And that is clearly what they're not going for on this show. So while a lot of people like me liked it, there was also a number of people who didn't. Well, today, they dropped a new trailer. And this trailer is amazing. So good that when you go to the YouTube channel where it's playing it, and you look at the top comments, I read a lot of comments and listen, respect for people saying, I take back everything I said about the last trailer. And, you know, good on them for watching. This trailer was awesome. It maintained that gritty True Detective feel. Mm-hmm. It gave us glimpses about how they're splitting the story in 2 different time frames, one from a decade earlier, one modern. I think it plainly lays out that Hal Jordan is not long for this world. They're not even trying to hide it. I mean, this is clearly a passing of the torch story, which is great. At the same time, it breaks my heart because Hal Jordan's my Green Lantern, but that's okay as long as you tell a great story. And for the people who were worried about the absence of the color green, Kermit and all his friends, a lot of green. Man, both of these shots of Jonathan, first of all, I love how casual Hal is. He's just walking in this bar and he just briefly hears the click. Doesn't even flinch. He just pulls up the shield as they're unloading automatic weapons. That shot of the lasers coming down from the sky and him just saying, "Brr," and like shielding, cutting off the laser with the shield. I got to tell you, I stopped the trailer because I was laughing so hard. It was like, this is the most powerful weapon in the universe, but the real question is knowing when and where to use it, Junior. And then he makes a $1 bill so I can put it in the jukebox. And he's like, did you just use the ring to make counterfeit money? No. If that's the humor they're doing in this, sign me up. It felt great. And just the way he looks at him later too says, the only way you're getting this ring is off my cold, dead body. And then he takes him like, got a feeling that's probably going to happen. I thought it showed great inter-character conflict. It gives you that sense of the before and the after. There's an ongoing crime, this big mystery. By the way, did you catch that we got a little Guy Gardner action in there as well? Just a quick little shot just to let everybody know he's there. This is connected to the world that we saw in Superman. I got to tell you, man, I love this show. And they dropped the release date. I believe it was August 16th is the release of the show, August 16th. I think this looks phenomenal. I have always been interested in this show and looking forward to it. I am flat up excited for this show. I cannot wait for this show to start. My only fear is it's going to be these bullshit 30-minute episodes, which I don't know. It just seems to be what they're doing. I hope it. I mean, Penguin didn't do it, so hopefully it follows that. But man, I'm stoked about this. I can't wait to watch. I thought the trailer was great. Rob, we haven't really had a chance to go into it and talk about it yet, but you did watch the trailer this morning. What did you think about it?
Well, now I'm somebody that liked the first teaser.
Yeah, me
you know,
too.
And again, it's probably a generational thing. I love Green Lantern. I've been reading Green Lantern since I was a kid. I loved him as a member of the Justice League. And for me, there's like those early stories that I was reading were very earthbound. And then, of course, with the Jeff Johns era and things, it went these big cosmic tales. But what I saw in that trailer was, and it was paid off in this teaser as well, this is exactly what I wanted from this show. Clearly, there's something going on Earth that has cosmic ramifications, because we saw somebody being held down with some kind of cosmic, some kind of energy or something. And I love seeing these guys firmly in our world. You know, I liked all of that, because one of the things that I thought about Green Lantern, the movie with Ryan Reynolds, which I don't hate, because I thought all the stuff in Oa was really good, but the stuff on Earth with the villain was just, it wasn't credible. This makes our world credible, that these two guys, I mean, look at this, they're in a residential neighborhood. I love the juxtaposition of this guy wielding the cosmic entity, or the cosmic power of the ring, in suburbia. And here, look at this. And then there's also it looked like a suburban street that was decimated, with the cars all destroyed, like an entire street was attacked. And there's some mystery going on that they're looking into that probably has something off-world. And you got to see one shot where they're on some desolate foreign or desolate alien world.
Almost looked like a Hoth ice-capped planet of some
desert
sorts.
planet or something. And I'm like, look, you know what? This show clearly has scope.
By the way, this is the shot here that you're talking about there.
Oh, this, what? Yeah, this, like, I don't even know what this is, but it's great. I mean, is that Krypton?
And
I don't know.
by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that him in a yellow suit?
It could just be the color.
It could, yeah,
because he's surrounded by a bunch of blues.
Yes,
So,
so it could just be the image of the color, 100%. But I want you to notice something. It's like, is that supposed to be Sinestro? Is he like talking to a guy in a prison? Is that Sinestro? Like, so he's come walking in, and then are we standing?
That
on
looks
the other
like
side?
it's him too.
I don't know. The hair is too straight. The
Yeah.
hair, the hair on the guy whose back is to us. His hair's too straight.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. That's probably just green, but through the blue light, it's looking yellow.
Or is this some a historical thing when you're learning about Hal Jordan's history
hologram?
from the future?
Yeah,
Could
so
be a
I'm
hologram.
wondering, is this planet, is that him going to like some prison planet where they're keeping Sinestro? I mean, I'm making wild assumptions here
Yeah, I don't
based
know.
on nothing. But anyway, I'm sorry, Rob. Please keep going. Your
No,
thoughts
but
on
I
the
mean,
whole thing.
I watch this and I think to myself, there's so much in here that's intriguing, and the tone of it is something I really appreciate. It's serious, and it's not weird and goofy, you know. And I love, look, it's Riggs and Murtaugh. It's exactly what I wanted, except Riggs is older than Murtaugh in this, and it's reversed, and I love that. I love that antagonistic. You know, you got your buddy cop story, or when the two characters are antagonistic, like in 48 Hours. You know, Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy, or in Midnight Run, or something like that. And I love that's classical storytelling, and I think they've done a great job. And wow, it's well cast. Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler together in this show. Bring it on. I can't wait to see this.
It was, now remember, originally Kyle Chandler's role was going to be played by Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
But listen, and you guys know I love Josh Brolin. This worked out just fine.
Yes, it did.
Kyle Chandler is fantastic, and he's going to work out just fine. Now, one of the things we've already known is that Aaron Pierre is going to be in Man of Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we know that's coming. Again, but nothing in the wire about Kyle Chandler being in. So another indication that, like, what are you setting the over-under number that Hal Jordan gets offed? He dies in this season of Lanterns. What do you think?
80%.
I'm going to go even higher. I'm going to go 90%. I mean, there's still wiggle room there that maybe he doesn't, but I'm going to go as high as 90.
And James Gunn has said, I'd have to dig this quote up, but that this show does have something significant to do with Man of Tomorrow, that it is leaning in. It wouldn't surprise me that the seeds of Brainiac's arrival on Earth,
Or at
are
least some
planted.
name drop of
Yeah.
something with Brainiac.
Yeah, I think that there's something that's going to be part of this, because that picture of that planet, the ice planet or whatever,
Right.
it almost, I mean, in a way, it kind of looks like a representation of Krypton. Like maybe there's a history there or something that we're going to get. I don't know.
I don't think we'll go to Krypton. I think that's him going, because if you bring this image up again, you see the streak going down. I think that's how going to the planet. And then, like I said, it immediately skips then to this shot,
I know.
which I think he's just going. I think that's a prison. I think that's Sinestro in there. I am pure right out of my ass speculating about this, guys. Do not report anything. I'm just saying I'm kind of thinking that's what it is, but I don't know. All I know is this. My calendar's booked off for August 16th. This is going to be a must-watch day one for me. And should we be surprised, guys? It's HBO.
Right.
It's HBO. Of course it's going to be good.
And it looks like an HBO show.
And it looks like an HBO show. Guys, question is for you. What did you think about the trailer for Lanterns? I thought it looked fantastic. Whatever you guys thought about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And all right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all of you guys for joining us in the live chat. There's thousands of you guys in there right now. It's always a lot of fun watching your guys' chats and hearing what you're saying and reading your messages. Thank you so much for participating in the show today, guys. We really appreciate it. Of course, I want to thank our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys tomorrow.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
I'll be here tomorrow too.
My name is John Campea. Thanks so much for being here, guys. And until tomorrow, my friends, bye-bye.